We'll be discussing organic and natural cosmetics. September is the Soil Association's Organic Month, and particularly this upcoming weekend, the 7th and 8th of September, they are focusing on organic beauty, which is always one of those things, Grania, that often people think about organic and they think about food straight away.
Yeah.
They don't always necessarily think about
cosmetics or skincare.
But that's your area of expertise, and if you just want to introduce
thank you
yourself.
very much, Joanne. Thanks firstly for having me here today and letting me speak about this. My name's Grania McNally. I'm from Newry myself, and I've trained in a lot of the courses, beauty and holistic, and have also worked a number of years in a lot of the well-known brands, cosmetic brands, so I've got a good background in it. And I suppose I just find myself, as I worked in those cosmetic companies, querying a lot of things myself, and I suppose through knowing yourself, I was intrigued a little more with regards to organic skincare.
If we just remind all our viewers at this afternoon and anybody watching back on the podcast, just that any information that Grania and I will be sharing this evening is really just based on our own research. I mean, it's our opinions, it's our research, and at all times we're encouraging people to do the research, draw your own conclusions, see what you think about it. I know one of the scariest experiences that I had that started off my journey into organic cosmetics was when I was at the hairdresser's one day getting my hair dyed, and one of the things that she pointed out to me was that a baby wipe would remove the dye that was on my skin. And I started to think, I mean, what's in a baby wipe? Water won't remove it, soap won't remove it, anything I was using wouldn't remove the hair dye. And then but a baby wipe would. And
it does make you question things. Likewise for me, again, from working in the industry, you do find customers are becoming quite savvy now, and there is a lot of media attention around cosmetics and what exactly is in them. So I would have been challenged actually quite a bit by customers and questioning me, what is the ingredients in cosmetics,
which is fantastic.
It's great to see it.
And I have noticed recently that more and more of the commercial brands are making steps. They're maybe not fully there yet, but at least you're starting to see some of the no parabens in this, and there are steps being made, and that's
most
all
definitely
down to peer pressure. I mean, it's public
and what
pressure.
the customers want, and
customers are demanding.
As I say, they are becoming more savvy, and they want to know that they're investing this money into a product, so they want to know that it's going to be effectively safe for them, and
safe for them to use long term as well. Because I think one of the big things that we often think about is, short term, this isn't doing me any bother, this isn't doing me any
most
problem.
Definitely,
but there's so many different chemicals in there. We have a list that we'll run through, just so that people are aware, maybe people that aren't aware, that are familiar with what type of things we should be looking out for, and they're in all of the products. There's about 20 main common ingredients that people should be looking out for. And alcohol being one of the most,
which is in a lot of
stuff.
Your perfumes is your main one, obviously, that would have the alcohol. Some moisturisers as well. Maybe more specifically, alcohol is in ones that would be for combination skin, where they say that it helps to control the oiliness, when really it's just stripping the skin and causing more oiliness down the line.
It's drying the skin out. The skin's natural thing to do once it's dried out then is to produce more oil. So it's such a catch-22, and yet when you look at any of the main product lines for any acne skin, and as you say, combination, alcohol is the first thing, and
ingredient,
it's just totally counterintuitive.
And I suppose that's another thing for people as well that mightn't be aware. On the ingredients list, the first ingredient is the major content of a product, the highest percentage of what is contained in the product. So that's
another one that often covers a multitude, is fragrance. And equally as well, fragrance free can also mean that there's a whole other raft of chemicals that need to go in to take a smell out, because everything has a smell.
The term fragrance can include up to, I think it's 200 or more different chemical based ingredients, which is quite scary.
I know the Safe Cosmetics people would be saying that it could even range up to 4,000.
Oh, right, okay.
Huge numbers. And another one that I would think, and as I said, I do think there's more and more awareness around there, would be sodium lauryl sulfate.
Shampoos is a big one. It's in all your shampoos.
Yeah, so a lot of your bubble baths and stuff as well, and has actually, again, research has shown that it's causing acne, dermatitis.
Yeah, and also eye problems too.
Yeah.
It can cause eye problems as well.
Eye bother, and yet we think, you know, this stuff's in a bottle and somebody has a label on it and therefore it's safe for me. And I would often think too, back to one of the statistics, which is, you know, between 70 and 100,000 different chemicals have been introduced into our lifestyle. So everything from petrochemicals right through parabens, lanolin. There's such a wide range, and TEA. I mean, you know, there's such a wide range there, and we can see that, you know, again, acne, skin, all the things that we don't really want skincare doing.
I think it's important to remember as well, you know, there's no within the food industry there's certain regulations that allow a product to be called organic. Within the cosmetics industry there's no regulation over these companies. A company can claim that their product is organic or natural, and they can have 2% or less organic natural ingredients in their products. So I think it's important, you know, if you are looking into this line of things, look for things that have the certification. Obviously,
and we'll cover that with the logo there that we'll share with viewers, just so that we know what we're looking out for. And parabens for me certainly would be one of the ones that would be quite concerning. I think.
It's a big
you know,
one.
When you realise that these things, when washed down a drain, have been associated with turning male fish female. It's a pretty worrying.
It is a big hormone disruptor. You know, it's, again, I suppose it's probably good to clarify for people as well that don't really know what a paraben is. It's an ingredient that helps to keep a product from getting infected by bacteria or moldy.
It's a preservative.
It's a preservative,
and a lot of the argument with parabens is that it's a natural product, and the commercially used paraben isn't. There is a very closely related water soluble product that is naturally produced by blueberries and certain fruits. But that's very different to the synthetic based fat soluble one, which is going to hold in your fatty tissue.
Ideally produced in a lab, and you know, and then put into a product a couple of hours later.
And it becomes, you know, as I say, it becomes then that it's only fat soluble, and has been found in breast cancer tumours.
it has indeed.
Breast tumours and stuff. So it's, you know, there's such a wide range of stuff out there. The Danish government have actually moved and they've completely banned parabens. So I think it is something that, you know, Europe, I think we're quite lucky in the sense that Europe does quite strictly control over the US.
More
I mean, there's a
lot
more. The US have, you know, much weaker regulations around it. The European Union tend to keep things as best they can.
They're starting
sort of regulated, even with, you know, with the pesticide ban going out for the DTTs and stuff like that for bees, helping to save the bee population.
They're becoming more aware of.
And I think that's the other thing that happens too when you start moving into organic skincare and things like that, is that it becomes much more than about you. It becomes, how can we help the planet? How can we help, you know, generally a really good ethical organic company will also be ethical in all of their practices, how they source their ingredients, how they manufacture their products, what packaging they're using. There'll be a very, you know, quite a broad,
it's a whole spectrum that they look at,
of everything that they're looking at, really.
Which is excellent, you know, and it really instills confidence in you when you can find a brand like that, and you know, you do want to invest your money in it.
Yeah, and we're looking then as well at what this really means in terms of the day-to-day products. And we've an example here which was published in the Daily Mail some time ago. And you know, we have perfumes containing up to 250 chemicals.
These are all products that, you know, I know women use every day. You know,
we're heading out on the day with, you know, somewhere in and around maybe over 500 chemicals just sprayed onto our skin in a normal everyday
And
as it goes.
I think it's important to sort of reiterate here as well, it's for men too.
Yeah.
You know, okay, women are the main users of our cosmetics and things like that, but men like to use the products too.
Yeah, I mean, shaving foam, and a lot of these products, you look at them and they've got an X, you know, nail polish remover, flammable or a dangerous, and okay, I know that's with certain use, but aerosol deodorants, and people will often say, but what's the alternative? And there is always an alternative, because people are, people are able to use these products. And as you say, you know, it's men, it's women, it's children, and it's right down, you know, I was talking about baby wipes, right through, you know, some of the products that you'd actually would be most concerned about, Vaseline, baby oil, petrochemical oils. There's such a wide range, and I think the Soil Association are doing really good work at the minute to promote how important this is, that the stuff is most actually certified and regulated. And with regards to what we look for there, then we have we've the logo there that we'll share with our viewers this evening. That's the Soil Association one, and it's just worth mentioning that genuine beauty products with that natural ingredient that are sourcing and are ethical and will all be able to be applicable for Soil Association certification. There's no reason why they couldn't, they can't get them through. Although it's an expensive process to go through, but
and then that is reflected then within within some of the brands that you do choose. You will find maybe ones that are certified by the Soil Association are that little bit dearer, but in my opinion, I think it's well worth the investment to know that you're getting a safe product.
Especially when you're using it every day. And there's not that, I mean, I know we all have different budgets to what we
and we've
spend.
all different ideas of what we're willing to spend on it, but I don't know, I think maybe, in comparison to some brands that they're using on an everyday basis, people are using on an everyday basis, there's not that much of a difference.
No, I think, and in fact sometimes they're a lot cheaper. It depends on
it depends
on where people, some people will buy a bottle of moisturiser at £1 and some people will spend 50, 60 up to 100.
And it just depends on what you're in.
But certainly stuff that's been around, the likes of lavender, frankincense for its anti-aging properties, right through to geranium, orange, and I know personally we're both very passionate about the Neal's Yard brand, which for me is the one, having done all my research, it is the brand that I can 100%, I mean, I would lay my life on.
It's going back to, where you're saying how the company as a whole take in the whole spectrum, it's okay, you're getting an organic product, but they buy their ingredients from, like the frankincense comes from Kenya, the fair trade, even down to the packaging, there's so much detail that's put into all of that, so it's definitely a winner for me.
And I think one of the great things that I love is the use of essential oils. I mean, I just find that when I'm using a geranium and orange shower gel, for example, that the bathrooms that's it. Geranium helping to boost the mood, do everything.
It has its therapeutic benefits physically, but you actually notice the difference in your moods, and it definitely gives you a lift. Or you've got the products that energize you, and then you've got the products that relax you, some of the bath products and candles, whatever. So you've got a whole spectrum there, which is excellent.
I mean, I think I remember reading not that long ago, and again it was one of the things that started to make me think, how can I reduce my exposure to chemicals? I'm not saying, I mean, we live in the 21st century, it's not.
And I think that's part of the Soil Association and what they're trying to put across in their organic beauty weekend, the small changes, but it will make a big difference in your life and other people's lives.
I think the statistic is that somewhere between 70 and 100,000 different chemicals have been introduced into our lifestyle since the end of World War II,
which is astonishing.
When you think of how even products like at once, and I know it's completely unrelated to beauty products, but how at one stage asbestos was seen to be, it was going to solve all the building world's problems, and then suddenly people started, time was the thing that discovered that it wasn't. Cigarettes were the same. I mean, there's a time back in history when doctors were prescribing them for heart problems, and they were seen, and then over a period of time, and that would be my sort of philosophy that I would try to live by, at least, is if in doubt, avoid it, leave it out. And if there is an alternative there, I mean, again, I know let's come back to the baby wipes, but I would use in my therapy practice quite a lot of baby wipes for wiping feet.
Wiping the feet,
and I can pick up baby wipes with parabens, with SLS, with alcohol, but I can just as easily on the same shelf reach for a product, and the one that I particularly use is the Kinder by Nature Jackson Reese, and they're actually distributed by a Northern Ireland company, but it states clearly on them organic ingredients and paraben free. Now they're not certified, so they may not be 100%, but at least they're 100% alcohol free and 100% paraben free, which is a good start. It's better than nothing, and the work and it becomes practical. But if you're looking at between 70 and 100,000 different chemicals, and you're thinking,
where do you start? Where do
I begin? What do I look like? And I think, or what do I look for? And that certification is always a really good place to start. And a lot of them too, although I'm saying a lot, but actually very few, a small percentage of them have actually been fully tested. But what I often think about is, we all know what happens when you mix chemicals. Be it cleaning products, be it back to chemistry class, and if you
don't know if you're putting many layers on, you don't know what. Oh, well, I suppose it relates back to the amount of skin conditions that are coming about,
and allergies in general, asthma. What we're putting on our skin is our biggest organ.
And it absorbs everything that we up to 60%. So
going in
I think it's 60% in 20 seconds, isn't it?
It's going straight into the body. Your liver has to worry about it, your kidneys have to worry about it, your whole system has to worry about what do I do with this?
What do you do with it? And I think what I find as well, I've noticed a big difference. Again, for me, I've just been making the small changes. I've just been introducing small products here and there, and changing them over to the more organic based. And I think what I find happening to me now, when I do maybe smell one of the products that I used to use, I have asthma myself, and I can actually feel it, in my chest. It's that's quite profound.
You can notice the change and notice the difference. One of the big changes that I noticed whenever I moved from an ordinary moisturiser through to a natural, which was the Neil Jard moisturiser. I love the frankincense one, but and it wasn't until I actually understood a bit more about the products that I actually realised the silicone was coating my skin, and so that my skin actually wasn't getting moisturised.
And it's not breathing either, and not excreting. So
the first couple of weeks I went through loads of moisturisers. God, this stuff is just soaking in. It's just but quickly realised, having done a wee bit of research and whatever, and chatting to a few people, that the reason it was because it was actually nourishing right through to the base layer of my skin, as opposed to coating over the top and then putting on a layer of silicone, so that only ever the top layer was getting moisturised. And for me, that was one of the real changes that I noticed, that actually my skin maintained a level of moisture throughout my cycle, throughout day to day, week to week, whatever. It remained the same, and I didn't have the same fluctuation in my skin or that dryness coming up to the surface, because it was always moisturised.
And then I suppose there, just a wee bit of information for people that are looking into skincare, if that is the case, then maybe introducing like a serum, which will go deeper again, and you're not using up so much, much moisturiser too. Just
but I find that after a couple of weeks,
it levels out anyway.
So I was using all of this for a couple of weeks, and I was going, suddenly I don't need as much. And then I realised that the reason I didn't need as much was because it was actually all the layers of my skin were moisturised. My skin looked fresh, looked plump. And I think there's often a fear too that sometimes people think, natural stuff, it has to be it has to be not nice, or it's never as good as, or it's never better. And I know both of us are both wearing natural makeup this evening, and we've got away with it. I'm not saying,
the mineral makeup is great. It's
one of the ranges that I would also use would be the Nature's Inspiration range. And
I've seen the Nature's Inspiration. It's lovely. It's lovely range.
Well. And again, a local company too. Shauna's from Fermanagh, and a young girl who had skin problems herself.
Again, yes, I read her story too.
So I will hopefully actually have Shauna in. Maybe towards Christmas, and that to do some of the Christmas makeup and things like that, and chat to. But I think again, one of the big things that I would feel very passionate about would be for young people, for young girls particularly, starting out. wearing makeup, using skincare products, that they're just aware that there are
other options,
and that they're much better long term for them, avoiding everything from, as we talked about, hormone imbalance, asthma, skin dermatitis, acne, food, everything. There's such a range of
most definitely, because I suppose personally I feel as well, if I hadn't known it when I was younger, you know, because again I would have had a lot of problems with my skin when I was younger too, and that whole cycle that I was talking about earlier, you know, which is quite common with teenagers with the oily skin, you know, again I would have been using products that just literally was stripping the skin, and it was making it worse.
Your skin was saying, I know what I need to do now, I need to make more
so you know, if I had known that beforehand and known to go the organic,
if we knew now what we know then, or if we knew then what we know now. And another area, just speaking about young girls, that I would be quite concerned about as well would be sanitary products. And you know, the amount of chemicals in them, and that's a whole other conversation for a whole different day. But if we look at,
which is something which I have to say is what I've only become aware of recently as well, and you know, I know you've done a bit of
promotion on
it, and I saw that and I was like, oh right, okay, this is interesting, you know.
And it is, you know, as I said, the food is one element to it, but if we look at the between 70 and 100,000 chemicals have been introduced, if we can even reduce our exposure to that, even by 50%, whatever it is, if everybody can do a wee bit. What I think is, you know, if you take, as we're saying about the mixing of chemicals, you know, nobody will ever be able to test. My exposure will be different to your exposure, will be different to every person that watches us. Everybody's going to have a different combination of chemicals that they're exposed to, and one on its own might be fine, and you could test that and say, well, that's okay, but it'd be impossible to test everybody's combination, and what happens when you mix what you're eating plus what you're putting on your skin plus what you're inhaling in the air, and that whole mix. And for me, food is one that I mean, I'm not the best planned shopper. I like to just shop on demand type thing. For food shopping anyway, I like to try and buy it fresh and whatever. So it's not always possible to hit organic, but what I think about beauty care and even household toiletries as well is another one. They're planned purchases. You kind of know I'm running out of moisturiser, so you don't have to buy it today. You can work around that, and you can certainly look towards getting the right product and having a wee look. And even I think it becomes the awareness that I would always say to people is just check out labels, have a wee look at labels and see what's in them, become familiar with them. Again, whether it's food, whether it's skincare.
Again, from the skincare point of view, that, you know, that was the thing that I got most shocked about as well, whenever, you know, I was referring to earlier where I was being challenged by customers, and I started thinking to myself, right, let's look at the back of this and start comparing. And you know, even again, the Neil's Yard, there's just so many, there's just so little ingredients in it,
and
you know,
we know them all. You could have them all in your own garden if you were a good gardener.
Some of the things on some of the other products you can't even pronounce the name of it, and you're going, whoa, if I can't even pronounce this, what is this? What is it?
I have no idea what it is.
You know, which is quite
one of the things that threw me on that a wee bit was you know, with a lot of the plant ingredients, where they have to list, because they're pure proper plant ingredients, they have to list the Latin name of them, and I was going, well, I can't pronounce these either, but I knew they were plants and I knew it was Latin, so at least if I can't produce Latin, it's not so pronounce Latin, it's not so bad, but if I can't pronounce English, that's when the problem. So that's when you know, that's where I sort of looked at it. And in terms of your own favourite products, what's your fave at the moment?
I suppose from the Neil's Yard, I love the garden mint and bergamot, the hand products and the body products. I don't know. Every time I get something from the range, it's like, oh, I love this.
Funny, I was in with Rowan on his Good Morning show. Rowan does a morning show on Destination Uri every morning from 7:30 to 10:30, and I had the Neil's Yard rose perfume.
Lovely.
And Rowan, you know, raved about it for the first couple of minutes whilst I go into the studio, to the smell of it. So they can be, you know, and I mean, they're equally as strong. There's every bit. I regularly get people saying to me, that's fabulous. But what for me, what's great about it is that I've saved myself 250 chemicals that day just by making that choice.
No, the smells are they're quite nice now.
One of the things that I found whenever I started using the hand cream actually was that, again, as for doing reflexology, I need to keep my nails quite short, so that I'm not stabbing my customers and or my clients. And one of the things that I discovered was I had to start using it every other day because my nails were growing.
Oh, they were going
so fast that I couldn't, and they were getting so strong that I had to start using it every second day because they really nourished. And again, that nourishing of the natural ingredients is such a.
Well, you were mentioning the hand cream as well. I wouldn't really be one for. I prefer lotions, so I would have used like hand lotions, body lotions, and you know, I would have been using the creams of the Nails Yard, and I thought, oh, you know, putting it on, and with other ones, I would have found it would have sat in my hands. You know, other products, and within a minute or two, it's absorbed, and which was great. You know,
sort of chat that you would talk to about it, because it's always one that's handy to get people to try as a hand cream. They're pump bottles and stuff. People always be amazed at how non-greasy
exactly
the
that's that's what I don't like. And
I think that's true to be said for as I say, Nails Yard's the one that we're familiar with, but for any brand, you know, once it's a proper natural organic, and once it has the organic certification, or that you can be sure of its ethical background, then it's definitely one that you could say, well, you know, there is a difference. And
big
the difference
time.
Can be felt and felt, and long term as well. I suppose one of my big pieces of advice I would say to anybody is prevention's better than cure, and we just genuinely don't know what these things are doing to us. But on that list of 20 that we give out earlier, I know I for one would certainly much prefer that they weren't in
there.
The system. Well, somebody might prove to me in 30 years time that they're safe and they perfectly wouldn't have done me any harm,
but the research as it is backs it up, most definitely.
And I'd rather not take that chance or that risk.
Yeah, most definitely, I'm with you on that one.
We're good, we're in agreement, so it's all good. Anything else just that you think might be worth mentioning?
Again, I'm relating it back to my own experience, and I was working in the industry, so I know it can be quite overwhelming. You know, again, where do you start? As we were just saying, if in doubt, leave it out. There is as we mentioned, the Soil Association. It's a great start if you know you are really wanting to go for something with certification. It's a great start. It's a great reference to look at what product you want to go for. Again, myself and yourself are Nails Yard representatives, so if there are people wanting to inquire about it,
certainly point them in the
right direction.
And I think as well, one of the other points to also bear in mind is that, you know, we're not for one second suggesting that everybody goes out now and empties out, throws everything out,
and I didn't do that. You know, I did it
one product at a time. The next time I need a moisturiser,
because we're creatures of habit too, and it's hard to break away from things, even though we should.
And from a cost point of view, whatever. But if you're looking, I would even say that to people whenever they're talking about. I suppose my idea of a detox is genuinely detox your lifestyle, so reduce the amount of chemicals that you're exposed to on a whole, whether that's through your diet, through your household cleaning products, through your skincare, or whatever, a wide range. And I would say, you know, replace one product at a time. Find something you like and sort of stick with it.
Because you can become overwhelmed with them as well. You know, we were talking about how the scents from, like, well, particularly the Nails Yard, and you know, they're quite strong as well. Well, certain ones, you know, so
it's getting the right essential oil that
and like that, we're all different, so what you like, I mightn't maybe like.
And that's what I love, is the personalisation that you can get. You can really find a product that appeals to you on both the physical aspect of the product, but also the emotional, because smell is so tied up with our emotions. And a few weeks ago I had Phelan O'Neill and Michelle McKeever, and they were talking about even memory and the brain development, how smell is so closely linked to that, and essential oils play such a huge part.
Massive,
And next week then on Destination Wellbeing, I have a girl in who has just launched, Shauna is her name as well, and she's actually just launched an organic baby food range.
Oh, very good.
Northern Ireland based company as well, but and is doing really, really well. So
brilliant.
It'll be interesting to get the food angle as well, saying as we are in September and in Organic Month as well. Well, Gráinne, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Having me.
You're very welcome, and thanks to everybody for watching it.